It's a hot summer's afternoon, so let's talk about knots. Today we're going to look at the 3 most utilised knots that we use here at Fara Kanna. Whenever we've talked about ridge lines, knots, things like that before, I always talk about that bowline, so that's the first one that we're going to look at. Come on, let's do it. Okay, so first, in our working end, about maybe a foot from the end, we're going to make an overhand loop. Step 1. Next, we're going to take our working end, feed it back through that overhand loop and around the back of our standing end. And then to finish with our working end, we're going to take that and thread it back through the original overhand loop that we formed and pull tight. And the great thing about our bowline is that it's jamming knot. That's not going to go anywhere. We know that we like to use that on our ridge lines so we can feed it through, put our toggle through. So with that being said, let's move on to our next one. Before we do though, let's talk about this. So I've heard it called different names, bowline, bowling. I typically stick with bowline. I think that's just how it was introduced to me. We use these a lot as part of our ridge lines to put the toggle through, but there's a million different other applications. If you want to maybe use it to suspend something from, if you were using it on the end of a line to put another toggle through to extend it, if you were using it to ratchet something down, there's tons and tons of different applications for that knot. For example, keeping our chafe horse covered up, all I've done is throwing the tarp over, a bowline on the end of the rope, working and go through, ratchet that down, covered. Next up, we're going to take a look at our marlin spike hitch. This is going to be really, really simple. Just like the bowline, the first thing we're going to do, form an overhand loop. Then we're going to take our loop, bend it back up on the line, pull some of the working end through. We're going to use this now to take our improvised peg, bob that through, pull tight. Job done. Properly rate a marlin spike hitch. They're dead easy to apply. There's no faffing about when it comes to undoing it, especially if you're using them to put the pegs on one of the guy lines. It's just our absolute go-to. There's loads and loads of different applications for it, so let's go see if we can find a different one now. Maybe you're using a more improvised suspension system for your hammock. Put that marlin spike in, toggle goes through, carabiner above the toggle, job done. And third and finally, we're going to look at a mooring hitch. I always use a mooring hitch on a ridgeline for the reason that it's adjustable. So we've already hitched it to one side. We're using the big braided rope, but it works just as well with paracord, so let's look and see how we get it done. So we've passed our working end around our anchor point, and all we're going to do is just pull taut until the standing end is as desired. In our working end now, we're going to make an overhand loop and place that over our ridgeline. So you can see now that I can put my finger and my thumb in between because it's draped over. From there, I'm going to take our working end, pass it underneath the entire line and the loop that we've just made, form a bite, pull that through and cinch down. And what we're left with is our mooring hitch. Now we talked about this before, and this is my favourite part about it, it's adjustable. If our ridgeline has lost any kind of its tension over time, all we need to do is grab hold of that hitch and it'll move across the line. And there we go, our 3 most commonly used knots and hitches at Fara Kanna. Now, we've not just made this video for the sake of it, they are legitimately the 3 most common knots and hitches that I use. We're not just waffling for the sake of this video. I find them incredibly useful, and once you've kind of got those in the toolbox, virtually unstoppable. So, I'm going to go get back in that hammock, but until next time, go explore.